This is Jon Simons, you're watching Bikespeeds Bike Torque. What got me into cycling? Wow. I was unfit. I realised I needed to do something about it, so I went out and bought myself a Saracen mountain bike a long while ago now, back 21, 22 I think I was, and started then and been mountain biking pretty much ever since. Grew up in Buckinghamshire, so I lived in the Chiltern Hills, so lots of hills to discover on mountain bikes, so that was kind of that's why I went for mountain biking probably rather than road biking. A bit safer in that respect, strangely. After moving down here, also I've always had, or have had for a period of time, full suspension mountain bikes. When I moved out here to Suffolk, realised it was a bit flat. I've always kind of ridden a hardtail, but round here you just don't need the full suspension. It's something else to service, adds extra weight, so I wanted to go back to a hardtail. I wanted quite an aggressive one, just something that I could ride everywhere. I spoke to a friend of mine who custom builds these things, and he had a good supply of that particular frame, and that's why we went for that one. It just ticked all the boxes for me. I've got some terrible memories, but my fondest memory of that is probably the first time I rode it, because it was built in Wales. I rode it in Wales for the first time, so I went down there to pick it up, and we rode a trail in the Afton Forest called the Blue Scar, which is, unlike some of the others, it hasn't got too many drops or different bits like that. It's just mainly nicely gravelled berms that sort of carry on for a good sort of 10 miles down the side of this mountain. The worst one, and the reason that I've got flat pedals on it at the minute, because I had SPDs on it last week, and I ride flat pedals a lot at the minute. I had a very nasty accident at Ragley Park, at the Olympic mountain bike course there. Went down there with a couple of friends, and one had already been there, and he kind of scared me. For some reason he got it into my head that I might need to have flat pedals. At the time, all I had was plastic flat pedals and some walking trainers. So went down to Ragley Park and had a very nasty accident, which involved snapping a seat post with my stomach and cracking my ribs and going over the handlebars. And basically my feet were so used, I got lazy really, my feet were so used to being on SPDs, going over a little drop off, and my feet bounced off the pedals, came off the other side, and that was it, and I fell off the bike, just went over the handlebars. And so from that day on I thought, right, I need to work on my flat pedal skill. So yeah, that's why I ride flat pedals. Ironically, it was when I looked back at the drop off that I'd come off, it had the Olympics sign engraved in it, so that was a little bit of a smack around the face. Yeah. I had a sort of mark in my stomach where the top of the seat parts. Yeah, it was rather nasty, Definitely my worst accident on a bike. Tubeless tyres, absolutely brilliant. I haven't had to repair a single puncture in, well, 2 years, and I've just had the tyres changed, so hopefully that'll be another 2 years without having to do anything to them. It's just absolutely blown me away how good they are. I was a bit dubious at first because I'm not much of a bike mechanic, as you know. I'm always bringing the bike down here for every little bit. But tubeless tyres is a game changer. Really. My second favourite's got to be the 1x11 as well. That's just absolutely brilliant on there. Love that. It's it cuts down on the clutter. You're not permanently sorting out the front derailleur as well, but that's all you need really on a bike like that. Although the next component I need for this one is a dropper, so I've decided that needs to happen. Get the saddle out of the way for the descents. I wouldn't want to ride it any longer than 2 or 3 hours. I think I mentioned earlier, it's not an all-day bike, and I did do a 7-hour endurance mountain bike race on it, but I wasn't racing for the whole 7 hours. I was in a team of 2. Wouldn't want to be all day in the saddle. Certainly wouldn't want to be up to the Lake District and planning an all-weekend ride. Put it that way. So this is my Ragley MMMBop, which is named after a 1990s Hanson song, which I always end up singing when I'm riding down trails. The idea behind buying this, it was a frame only bought, and a friend of mine custom built it for me. The red one at the time you could only get as a frame only setup, so he'd do it for me. So it's built completely from scratch to his specifications. So hopefully he got it right. So the frame, Ragley do a steel version, but this is the aluminium version. The steel version is a bit more expensive. I've had a steel frame before, which are quite nice, but I didn't want to go to the extra expense on this one. So, but the total build kit I think was around the £2,000 mark, which is a fair bit for a hardtail. So the suspension at the front, we've got RockShox Revelations on there with lockout. It's got a 2-part lockout. So the first one is obviously completely open. The second one should be so that it just gives you a little bit of bounce in case you're doing a technical climb or something like that, and then you've got complete lockout. 120mm travel on there. You can get 150mm on this frame setup, but as I only live in Suffolk, 120 is more than enough. It's fairly slack geometry on this, and when I say slack, it's just the angle of it. Basically, it's made for descending more than climbing, but is more than capable to climb as well. So the handlebars, famous thing on a mountain bike. When I started riding mountain bikes 21 years ago, they were about here somewhere, I think. Now we're out here, and some are even wider. These are about 760 to 780, I think they are. But you can go up to 800mm now, but that's too wide for my little shoulders. We've got Shimano SLX brakes, and you'll notice I've only got one gear changer on the front, and that's because I'm in the 1x11 setup. So I've only got 11 gears on there, which is more than enough around here. Development has happened. You can get a 12-speed on the back now, but 11 speed is more than enough. Just cuts down on clutter on the handlebar for a start, but also having the front derailleur, which is something else to service and pay for. So the tyres, these are tubeless, which I mentioned earlier is my favourite thing because I haven't had to do anything to them, although I have just had these changed, but that was after 2.5 years of riding the old versions. I did have gunwale ones on there before, but unfortunately they weren't in stock, so I had to go for these, which give it a slightly more stealthy look, I think. But so inside of there is their stands no tubes rims, which are all set up ready to go with the no tube, and then you just have to put some liquid in there, the sealant, which fills all the gaps and sorts out all the holes. So I've literally done nothing to them. Every couple of months I have to top up the sealant, which isn't too much of a job. You just take the valve core out, put it in there, spin it around, and you're ready to go again. So, as I mentioned before, I've got flat pedals on at the minute. I do ride SPDs as well, but I'm still trying to get back to the old days of flat pedals. Got an SDG saddle on there. I've had SDG saddles on pretty much all my mountain bikes that I've had over the last 20 years. Got some new grips on here, death grips. They're well, they are literally death grips. Once you got hold of them, you ain't letting go. So that's my bike, the Ragley MMMBop. I'm Jon Simons, you've been watching Bikespeeds Bike Torque. This road bike, don't tell the boy. Again, don't tell the boy. Don't tell them. There's a lot of don't tells in this, you're going to have to do a lot of editing.